There are two realities and two races. If you cannot accept that the problems you see in this world belong to a system that cannot be fixed because it works as it is supposed to work, then you will never escape the dilemma you are in. The problems of this world are literally the problems of this present world system. They belong to it and were created by it, because the problems are the system. Reality one works precisely as it is supposed to. We may not like what it produces, but what it does, what it produces, including crime, war, inflation, debt, and so on, is what it is supposed to do and produce. We cannot erase the problems without erasing the system itself. Unemployment may appear to be a problem and not something anyone wants, which is true as an absolute truth, but in application unemployment serves a vital purpose. If it comes down to ending unemployment or ending what causes unemployment or eliminating the need for unemployment, unemployment will remain. In other words, unemployment, regardless of the trouble it causes, exists for a purpose and has a use to those who have the power. A grain of sand is an irritant to the oyster, but for the pearl farmer, it is a necessary evil. R1 is parasitic. It was designed for parasites. If it was not parasitic, it would not have any use. It is designed for you to work in a way and in an environment that permits the elites and the entitled to skim off part of the value you create. Law and democracy are part of this system. They do not exist to help you. Law and democracy exist to channel protests into useless violence and make you, the pleb, a co-conspirator. You vote. They always make sure you vote to make you responsible for the government you got. They make sure you know you are under the same law as the ones who make the law. We are all under the same law, so we are equal. Plebs have no cause to complain because we are all equal by law. We are under the law, which makes us legalists. That, in a nutshell, is the system you are under. R2 is rational. It is rational because it is transactional. It is informational because transactions are based on information. Transactionalism makes us equals because in a transactional system, we all work and we all own what we create. No one has a claim on what someone else produced. To get, we need to give. Transactionalism is an analytical way to analyze social, political, and economic interactions as interdependent, mutually influencing transactions. It emphasizes quid pro quo relationships, where giving and receiving are inseparably linked, and focuses on reciprocal actions. The transactors attempt to make the best mutually beneficial deal. Work adds value to assets. Value is produced as equity, and equity is issued as preferred shares, which can be issued as a solid, non-inflationary, and non-taxable currency. It is work which stands at the center of the transactionalist environment. It is through adding value to assets that the means to effecting a transaction happens. In other words, all social problems exist because the reality you are in is not transactional but the parasitic, R1, reality. To end the problems, all that was needed is to separate from R1 and form R2, and anyone can do this. A priori and apologetic is a ministry that explains why we have the hope we have, in terms of a future based on transactionalism. This is the difference between spiritual immaturity and spiritual maturity. This is a process referred to as feeding the sheep. In our maturity, we take up our cross and ultimately become shepherds ready to give our lives for the flock. There is only one problem metaphysically speaking. This is the parasitic reality known as R1, and there is only one solution, and this is transactionalism. Humanity can debate all it wants to, but nothing you discuss will alter this fundamental fact. Parasitism is the problem and transactionalism is the solution. This is a logically irrefutable position, so you decide whether you want to keep trying to fix what is not broken, which is R1, or give up trying to make it into what it is not, and migrate to R2. Reality is an idea, something to be defined. It is not a substance to be felt or impacted. We need to define reality, not just experience it. We need to define in our transactions and in the way our life plays out. Life needs to be transacted with, not experienced as a passive observer. We all need to ask, what is reality built on? You may not think the answer matters, but it does. Perhaps you are not sure how to answer because you do not know what reality is or what the possible answers are. Perhaps you think there is only one possible answer, or you may think there are too many to unravel. However, there are only two possible answers, because there are only two possible realities. This is fundamental, though the adherents of one reality may try and claim differently. Depending on which option you choose, you are part of a different race, specific to the reality you choose to be in. R1 tells you the division is between the left and right, but that the left and right are part of the one reality. In the R1 reality, it does not matter which side you choose, because you remain part of the same reality. This is what they keep telling you. We all need to come together because the division is not real, it is fabricated. They are right. The division between left and right is a diversion. But there is a fundamental division, and this division is real. It divides existence into two realities. The division is not two options within the one reality. It is two distinct and irreconcilable realities. If you think the division is not real and the two sides can be reconciled, you are in R1 and the subject of an unrelenting disinformation campaign. R1 is physical and predicated on the existence of force. It's not that there is a substance that is physical and used to make everything. It is that AR1 is predicated on the existence of force. Physical reality is composed of force. Force is used to create what exists in the physical form of reality. Force is used to create and enforce the law, and the law makes you all subjects of whoever controls the force. Letting the force guide you makes you a willing puppet of the source of power in this world. You need this mentality to be a police or military person. But there is another reality, and it is created by God. It is not based on force but on reason and logic and morality, and so it is ultimately transactional. This poses a huge problem for those in R1. In a transactional reality, activity is grounded in quid pro quo. Laissez-faire capitalism wanted everything to be grounded in the market. This is transactional thinking, but their vision of ownership did not permit their view of the economy to be implemented. Private ownership of the means of production requires the state. Private ownership is not able to be established by any transactional methodology. It requires AR1 reality, that is the application of force. This is incidentally why works do not save us. It is why the conventional view of charity does not embed well in a Christian environment. Doing good works is not transactional. It is charity as the legitimization of entitlements, or what is called validating a victim mentality. No doubt many Christians have had a hard time trying to reconcile 2 Thessalonians 3 verse 10 with its teachings on charity. But these verses are not irreconcilable if one takes them as sequential, meaning we can help those who will work when given work. But the desire to be transactional ought to be a precondition for our assistance being offered. R1 has corrupted English so badly, there are terms to describe the system God created. R2 is analytical, moral, logical, and just. But at the heart of all of this, there needs to be a quid pro quo. We need to give as we get. But the more a person tries to grasp the R1 reality, the further you are away from the world God bequeathed us. If we do not understand the idea of two realities, we will lack the ability to understand the situation we are in or what to do about it. In summary, a person is a materialist and assumes everything he knows comes to him through the senses. He will be inductive in the way he thinks and attempts to understand reality. In R2, reality is logical and truth is analytical, and we are deductive in our reasoning. These are two distinct realities and cannot be reconciled.